可紧张，肯定不成，有版权的。
My name is Simon Totman. I'm the Managing Director of the Acme Whistle Company Limited. The Acme Whistle Company was founded in 1870 when a Joseph Hudson, who was a farm worker in Matlock, decided to uproot his family and move from the fields of Derbyshire to the big smoke of Birmingham to make his fortune. He invented the world's first police whistle, and although he didn't anticipate it then, that went on to develop into a range of about 300 different whistles, now reduced for manufacturing purposes down to 83. But a range of whistles that have propelled us into being the world market leader, whether you're talking about bird calls, whistles for dog training, whistles for referees, whistles for the police, or whistles for life-saving on your life jacket.
Do you want to hear that again?
In the very early days, there was only one material used to make whistles, and that was brass. And all of the whistles were very handmade. So if somebody phoned up with a particular inquiry and a strange whistle that they wanted manufacturing, they could turn their hands to it and did. The result of which was a product range that extended to over 300 different items. But of course, as things became more streamlined, as certain products started to rule the roost in terms of sales, production lines were established, and it was essential that the number of products made were cut down. Our marketing is undoubtedly affected by the way that we make things. A very good example of that is a tradition that was laid down by Joseph Hudson, our founder, who, like many founders of businesses, was perhaps a little eccentric and a very determined individual. And one of the things he used to do was personally blow every whistle before it left the factory. Well, with the production now of about 6 million a year, that of course isn't possible. But we still do test every single one. We don't batch test 5%, 10%, everything is blown. Today, of course, it's plugged into an airline. Nobody is sitting down there blowing whistles. But everything that leaves this factory is, as we say in our marketing literature, individually tested and guaranteed. So if you're one of our many customers around the world, in Japan or Mexico, and you buy 20,000 whistles for the Mexico Carnival, you know that every single one of them is going to work. You're not going to be thinking, now how do I get 500 of these back to those people who made them in Birmingham, UK? There are rejects, but we find them, not the customers. It's our policy to have 2 new products every year, and that's really an important part of our marketing and sustainability as a company. If ever you go to a trade show, the first thing people ask when they come onto your stand is, what's new? And nothing falls flatter than if you say, nothing this year. So developing a product is really important for us. We never stop experimenting. There's always a difficult marketing conundrum when you're introducing new products. We must have the new products, partly because those who copy us, mainly in the Far East, are then permanently running behind us. They're always trying to catch up, which is obviously very important. We don't want to damage our existing product range. If we have an established product, we want it to keep on selling, but all products have their life cycle, and it's very important that if something is going to fall by the wayside, it's us who makes our own product redundant with a new and better product, rather than sitting back on our laurels, hoping that what's always worked always will, and watching another competitor potentially step in and steal all the glory. Since our very early days, there has been tremendous development in the way that new products are tackled. For example, today we have very close links to the local universities who have laboratory facilities that we could only dream of ever affording. So we now have all sorts of small technical bits of information that were never available to us in the past and have greatly enhanced the way we were able to think about and design new products. The critical thing that we focus on is whatever we come up with, we want it to be patentable. That is a provable, intellectually protected, new, innovative step. And that's what we're aiming at all the time. I'm sure that we are perceived as being a different type of company by our various different type of customers. For example, business to business, an industrial customer, perhaps buying safety fire whistles and selling them on as part of a package of other products. There we will always try and emphasize that we can improve their margins. How can we do that? We can do that by giving you less returns on the product. We can do that by giving it to you a price that enables you to make a good margin. We can give you a very famous brand name to promote in your catalogue, and we can back that up with technical information, product shots, all the things that you need to make it attractive to your customers and guarantee your margin. If you then move to a more consumer-orientated product, for example, the original Titanic whistles that we remade on the very same equipment we first used in 1912, there, we're attacking individuals. We want them to know that it exists. We want them to know that it is original. And the critical thing there is that it's authentic from the original suppliers on the original kit. So that's a whole different concept. Price is not important there. It still has its place, of course. It always does. But that's a case of advertising through newspapers, reaching people directly with those kind of messages that will make them, if they are going to buy a whistle or think of it as a present for somebody, think, ah, Father's Day, I'll buy Dad a Titanic whistle for his keyring. We adjust the packaging. It may be the same product, but we will have a pack that is aimed at the gift market, we will have a pack that is aimed at the sports market, we may have a pack that's aimed at the general outdoor market. So we're all the time telling different consumers a different message about the same product. Our biggest market overall is the sports and safety market, and there are probably more whistles worldwide sold into that than anywhere else. So in terms of numbers of products, that's undoubtedly our big area. But in terms of margin and profitability, that market can often be a bit tight. So when you look at some of our more specialist areas, some of the musical whistles that we make, siren whistles for example, some of the gift items that we do, there we do lower volumes, but we make more money. Our competitors are legion. For example, in Shanghai, just that one city, there are 8 whistle makers. And if you scan the whole of Asia, there are heaven knows how many more. I'm sure I don't even know them all, there's so many. The Far Eastern market is very much a copycat market. Perhaps over the last 2 years, we have seen, for the first time, some signs of innovation coming from that market, and that, of course, will grow. They compete on price. We don't even want to go there. We all the time are emphasising our quality, the popularity of the product, the fact it's asked for by name, and that ultimate test, is it truly different? The professionals who are using it, the dog handler, does he notice the difference? Well, at the moment he certainly does. So that is what we have to push very, very hard. And at the moment, because we are asking a premium price for our better quality, that business model works. If one day it ceases to work because the competition gets better, then we may have to look at it again. And I certainly don't mind admitting, it is something that we do constantly look at. We don't just drift along blithely making here because we always have. There is business reason for doing it. And one day, if that no longer makes sense, we shall change. Our internet sales are the fastest growing part of this business. In fact, it's the only part of the business where sales are doubling year on year. And through that has come enormous opportunities. For example, if you'd have said to me a couple of years ago, how are your dog whistle sales in Thailand? I'd have said non-existent. I don't think there's a market out there. How wrong I would have been. We had one inquiry for some dog whistles, so we did some marketing into that part of the world, and now we're selling hundreds of specialist dog whistles into Thailand. That's a great example of our website actually generating inquiries and interest and knowledge for us that we would never have had previously. To achieve a global profile, we all the time are concentrating on those who can inform the opinions of the people we can't reach. So, for example, we may influence a very senior policeman who will influence others below him and say, well, the London police whistle is the one we want. So once we've got the opinion leaders to tell our tale, we then back it up by getting at the consumers. And that's probably as much as we can do. We can't afford worldwide advertising. We can't afford to go on the television. I'd love to, but whistles won't support that kind of budget.